Mhm.
Hello and welcome to another episode of What Makes You Shine. My name is Steph Lloyd, and as a natural healthcare practitioner and coach, what makes me shine is to help others find their shine. In this show, I have gathered for you amazing people who do just that. So today, I am privileged to speak to the lovely Victoria Jones. Victoria is the founder of the Womens Wellbeing Association and author of Wellbeing Guide Reignite. Passionate about all things women's well-being, Victoria helps women restore hormonal calm and balance to reignite their spark and overcome exhaustion and the feeling of survival so they can finally sleep for a full 8 hours, feel calm and balanced, thrive rather than survive mentally, physically and emotionally, and move well for heart, bone, hormonal and pelvic health instead of hard to simply crush or earn calories. So hello, Victoria.
Hi, Steph. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to chat to you.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on. It's so good to see you. So tell us what makes you shine.
Just watching women transform in front of my eyes, sharing with them the most simple information, mostly about hormones because that's when they get most frustrated, but just sharing simple lifestyle strategies, and just the most important information they need because there's so much information out there and they get so overwhelmed and it can just feel like where do you start when it comes to well-being. So it's going back to basics with people, getting to the root cause of why they're feeling the way they're feeling, giving them the tools to go out and use, and then just watch them transform and have those this stuff work moments.
Yeah, that's so good because it's so been normalized. Oh, do you know what? It's just my hormone. It's just my age. I'm probably, perimenopausal, and there's just an excuse when actually it doesn't have to be like this. There are things we can do and things we can change in our day to day. And
you say it. I mean, sorry.
Sorry, yeah, carry on.
I was just going to say like that, and that is the things. You kind of you brush off the symptoms and normalize them because this is just the way it's got to be, and it really hasn't. And so for me, it's changing that conversation. And your symptoms are there for a reason, and it's not because it's your age and because it's your hormones. It's your body wanting your attention. So it's helping women find out what attention it is it needs.
Yeah, fantastic. So that your gift to the world is this new book called Reignite. It's amazing. I've just finished reading it. It's so simple and brilliant and to the point and very informative, and it's got loads of little exercise that people can keep track of what they're doing and those simple but so important changes that we can make to a few area of our lives to then have much more energy and, like you say, thrive rather than survive. So tell us more about the book.
I mean, I've brought everything together really because for me, there's 5 key elements to our well-being that it all works together. So it doesn't matter which bit you start with or which bit you're frustrated with the most. As long as you make a start, it will all cross over. So that's stress, sleep, gut health, hormones, and the right kind of movement. I'm really passionate about women moving well, rather than, as I said, to earn calories or to crush calories and earn wine. And again, try and beat the frustration. So many women that I work with are so frustrated about midsection weight gain. So they work out a little bit harder, and that's really counterproductive. And we need to be nourishing our body with our movement and nourishing with our food and just with our lifestyle, really. So because I have these conversations again and again and again, and it's the same conversation regardless if it's with someone that can't sleep or has normalized the fact they don't sleep well, or someone that's really heavily stressed and just, again, normalizing and carrying on, or whether it's like sort of a gut health disconnection or brain fog or that inch loss resistance. It's the same strategies. It all works together. So I've created the book to bring it all into one place, and it doesn't matter which phase you start with because it will have the ripple effect, but it's just simple stuff. And I think when you're feeling so overwhelmed and so frustrated and you've got no energy, you just don't know where to start. It's just you feel like you're at the bottom of a mountain and you can't see the first footpath. So it is simple. It's simple lifestyle strategies that people can bring into practice and repeat little and often. That it's the little things that we overlook, but it's those things that make the big difference. It's never one big step that will reform your well-being. It's lots of little steps that make the big leap. And that's what the book is filled with. It's lots of little steps, and it's the same steps in some of the phases because there is that connection throughout. So yeah, it was just to bring it all into one place really, so that because for me, well-being is a whole body approach. It's not just one thing. So it brings it all into one place for people to obviously read, understand, implement. And I've tried to just keep the most important information, because again, we get so overwhelmed with what, do this, do that, try that, move, and it's just let's take it back to basics.
Yeah, I love it. I love the simplicity, and you make it so achievable. It just seems, well, I can do that. I can do those changes, and you have this great sentence. I love it. It says, your gut is not Las Vegas. What happens in the gut does not stay in the gut. And I love it because it's so true. I think I just have a little biscuit and I'll just do a little bit of that,
Yeah, that's one of my favorite well-being quotes. I don't know where I stumbled across it, but it's one that I share a lot, because for me, again, we tend to go, it's my hormones, it's my age, but most hormonal imbalances are either from stress or from your gut health. So again, let's kind of start there. Let's not normalize. And ultimately, is that because, is your gut health out of balance because your stress is so bad? So you're on that stress sugar or that stress caffeine roller coaster, and you're getting that mid-afternoon energy slump. So you're reaching for the biscuits, the chocolates, the cakes, the crisps, the coffee, just to pick you up to get you through the day because you're so exhausted. And it's so common. That is such a common position, but that doesn't mean it's normal, and it can be changed and it can be improved. But like I say, it always not just one thing that will fix it. It is a whole body. So the gut and the brain and the movement.
Yeah, absolutely. And the movement as well, because doing the wrong movement can create cortisol and adrenaline, which will actually add to our stress. A lot of people go, oh, I'll just go for a 5K run. And actually, this could be feeding the stress rather than relieving it. So it might feel like nice at the time because we're feeding the addiction the body is trying to fulfill, but actually it can be totally counterintuitive.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, movement is one thing I'm so passionate about, and it's how I actually got into wellbeing, was as a fitness instructor and teaching. So I've been teaching classes 20 years and I still teach now, but now I teach the right type of movement for women. And again, when we're exhausted, the last thing you want to do is go and hit a gym session or go and do a class, or 60 minutes in the gym here and an hour there. And it doesn't need to be that way. And this is the other thing. It's relearning what we're led to believe is the way. And again, that midsection weight gain is the biggest frustration for a lot of people. So again, we're conditioned to, well, I'll cut the calories and I'll go and work out harder. And actually, we need to take it back a lot. We need to start much before that and calm the body and move well. Again, for the whole body. So for your heart health, for your pelvic health, for your hormones, because everything responds to what we're doing. So yeah, movement is one of the big passions I've got. And again, it's that retraining and getting women back into movement, because again, there's so many barriers, whether it's time or confidence. And the amount of times I've heard, oh, I'll come to your class when I've lost some weight or when I'm a bit fitter. And it's like, it's a heartbreaking, but it's true. That's how women feel. So again, if we can reframe that, have a different conversation and move well, and you see the benefits mentally of how that stimulates you, and then you notice the changes. And again, I love a glute activation workout, and I love a lot of balance work, and people notice the difference really, really quickly. And it's those little things, and it brings joy rather than a pressure and I've got to go and hit this 10K now. So it's finding the right movement for you, for your well-being, for where you are, for your goals, and like I say, just reframing how we're moving.
And learning to listen to the messages of our body. If our body's telling us this workout is too much, it probably is too much. Learning to not punish ourselves in so many areas, like in exercise is particularly one. What's the sentence? There's no gain without hard work. Well, I can't think of the sentence.
You've got no pain, no gain. Or
no pain, no gain. That's the one. That's, yes, we've got to push ourselves a little bit. And you talk about this, we need to feel the burn, and we need to carry on a little bit further when we feel the burn. But let's do it in gentle and kindness and listening to our body.
Definitely. And I know a lot of people do get a lot from going for going out for a run because it clears the head, and that's brilliant. And I'm not saying don't do that, because we do need to do cardio,
Mm,
particularly as hormones decline, we need it for heart health.
mhm.
But do it for the right reasons and make sure everything else is in place, because you cannot keep up the demands that that puts on your body if you're not hydrated, if you're not nourishing your body, if you're not sleeping, if you're not connecting. It just won't work, and then it won't work. It will cause more problems, it will cause injury, it will cause inflammation, which will cause more stress, and so the cycle continues. So it's if 10k run is your thing, then I won't be joining you, let me tell you now. But go out, love it, but make sure everything else is in place as well.
Yeah, and do it with joy, because every thought we're having and every moment has an impact on us. So if you're there thinking, I hate running, I hate running, I hate running, I mean, what's going on in your body? Maybe running is not the right thing for
No,
you, and there will
definitely
be
not.
something that you will love,
Yeah.
and that ticks all the boxes. Yeah, so that's super, super important. And talking of, being kind to ourselves, you talk about tiara time, and now I love it. Tell me about tiara time.
Tiara time. Everyone loves tiara time from that book. So tiara time is your time that you do things that light you up. Because again, we spend so much time doing things for other people, being stretched, being pulled, doing this for them and that for them. Sometimes it feels like our life is spent at everyone else's obligation. And again, that has a knock-on effect internally from the thoughts you're thinking, because you're feeling a bit resentful about doing it potentially, or you're exhausted that it's about everybody else, and that then knocks onto your sleep, it causes stress. So it's just taking 10 minutes a day to do something that lights you up. And that can be, I'm not saying carve out hours out of a day, but just 10 minutes. And it might be colouring in, or a bit of a craft, or knitting, or, just sitting and playing with the dog, reading your book. Huge fan of that one. But and again, it's making it a consistent, because I shared with my membership the other week, the arrow can only be shot forward by pulling it back. So when you're constantly going, you're not going to go anywhere. So sometimes you've got to stop and reset. And the best way for me that you do that is doing something that really, really lights you up, that takes you out of the busy and out of the brain, and it's really joyful. And I say just 10 minutes a day has a really, really positive impact.
And without guilt.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
you giving everybody permission to do this and needing to tick it, I think is great, because I think particularly as women, we have watched all the generation prior to us not stopping. They've been really busy all the time, and they've just kept going. And now we've also got jobs, and we've got things and kids and homes and everything else. And people think, I don't have time to stop, but it's imperative. It's so important,
particularly when you are looking after other people. And a lot of the women that I'm working with are that sandwich generation. They've got the children and they've got the aging parents they're worrying about, and they're in the middle trying to run the house, keep the job, keep the friendship circles, do all that thing. You can't look after anybody when you fall down. So unless you look after yourself, and it's they're all you've got all the cliches, haven't you? You can't pour from an empty cup, and a lantern with no bulb shines no light. It doesn't matter which way we look at it. It is true. You cannot give if you are not filled up yourself. And actually, that 10 minutes just recharges you more than you can probably ever imagine, to then give more. And you don't get as, you don't shout at your kids as much, or moan at your other half as much. And then you're not beating yourself up because you bit their head off for no particular reason. It wasn't their fault. We take all that away, because everything is just calmer, it's just better, and you respond differently to the little things that might just normally wind you up, and your body resets, and then that's when you re-energize, and then the game changes for everybody around you.
Everybody. That's the thing. It's the same as putting the oxygen mask on somebody else before yourself. It really is a gift to all your family, your parents you're looking after, whoever you're looking after. You may think that might be selfish, because that's the word used, right? But it isn't. It is actually selfless, and it actually is giving back.
You give more when you're filled up.
Yeah. I was very guilty of that, so I know that one really well. So tell me let's talk about sleep a little bit, because that's a big one, isn't it?
Massive. And again, it's one that gets normalized far too commonly. It's very common for people not to sleep well, but it doesn't mean it's okay that they don't. And again, there is a reason why. And some people struggle to drop off, and that's 9 times out of 10 because we get second wind at 10 o'clock, or you wake up and you go to bed and your head wakes up. And I used to, you know what, back in my mid-20s, I thought second wind at 10 o'clock was just the best thing in the world, because I could get so much work done at that time because everyone else was nice and quiet and my brain was going. And the more you learn and the more you know, the more you understand that actually that's a sign that you are chronically stressed and your body is crying out for some attention. So second wind at 10 o'clock, very common, not a good thing. It's a sign of your adrenal health and managing your stress. So if you're struggling to wind down, start there and say, look at the stress side of it. Some people go off really easily. Go to bed, as soon as his head hits the pillow, off to sleep, wake up at 1, 2 o'clock. Again, that's a sign of your adrenals and your low level stress, chronic stress flooding the body. So again, start before the stress. Don't just, I always wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning. There's a reason why. And the other prime time to wake up, that I just wake up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, that's a red flag of blood sugar level. So again, start before the start, stabilize your blood sugar level throughout the day. And again, that has a massive knock-on effect with everything else as well. But it changes the game. And one thing that I often get challenged with is, but when I wake up at 3 o'clock, it might be blood sugar, but I need a wee. So you actually don't need a wee. Again, we train our bladder that we need to get up and we don't. But we've now created the habit that 3 o'clock's nighttime, wee time. So again, it's a retrain. So let's start with your blood sugar level and then let's retrain the bladder. And then all of a sudden you start sleeping well. But for me, good sleep starts when you wake up. So it's what you do first thing will actually alter your sleep. And the most important thing anyone can do is within the first 20 to 30 minutes of getting up is go outside and get some natural daylight exposure into the retinas. And that might even be just open the windows and stick your head out. But get that daylight exposure into your retinas of your eyes without staring at the sun directly, obviously. But it resets the circadian rhythm, which is a sleep-wake cycle. So your body knows, right, it's wake up time now, and it releases everything, it rebalances everything, and it then puts you on the right track to sleep tonight. So your poor sleep, if you struggle with it, is not just because you don't sleep well. It is a deeper reason. Is it your adrenals? Is it your stress levels? Is it your blood sugar level? Or is it because you're not getting outside first thing in the morning? So it's just those little strategies that make the big difference.
And it's, if you imagine it being jet lagged, it's the same thing. The body starts learning the wrong thing. Definitely. And then like you said, different time for different in traditional Chinese medicine, different times are for different organs, and like 3 o'clock is your 3-4 o'clock is your liver time, and that's also your seat of anger. So what are you holding in? What's going on?
Definitely. And I mean, there is a link to hormones. So I always recommend that people track their cycle. And that's another thing, obviously, I've put in the book is track. Even if you don't have a full cycle, still track, because you'll still have symptoms that you're probably just brushing off. And that might be that on the 24th and 25th of each month, you don't sleep well. And that's because your progesterone is coming in to be at its lowest level, and progesterone is your sleep supportive hormone. So again, you may have a little bit of fragmented sleep, but is it your progesterone, and is it because it's too low, and do you need something to support your hormones? But until you don't know until you start to pay attention to those things. So again, don't just my age, just my hormones. Like, why are your hormones doing that to that degree, and what do you need to support them and nourish them?
Yeah, and you talk about that in the book, about how this may even be linked to your cream that you use on your face. This could Definitely. Be the food that you eat. It could be what is going on with you, everything that the body is telling us. All symptoms are messages, and Definitely. That's all they are. So if we can just thank our body and fully listen, rather than just brush it under the carpet and just go, well, that's just me, I've been like this for years, or my mother was always like this, or runs in the family is the other one.
And these are the things we need to step away from. It's like say, for me, the biggest question is why. Like, why is that happening? Why is that happening? Because like you said, it's a message. It is your body going, I need this. Well, listen to it, and why does it need this? What's missing?
Yeah, I love it. This is a brilliant, brilliant book. And I think, women should have it. They should give it to their teenage daughters as a gift, as a present. Because if you know this from, I wish I'd known this from a much younger age,
I
right?
hear that so often.
Right. Once it's so much simpler. So you've also put together for us a wonderful app. So tell us about that.
And again, just because there is so much information out there, and for me, so many women feel so alone that it is just them, and everyone's a bit time poor and doesn't really know what to do. So I've created a one-stop shop, which is accessible via an app, so it's even easier to get onto. You just have to click of a button, and in there there's 4 live workouts a week, and again they are short, purposeful workouts. So we're not going for a 10k run. We're lifting weights, we're doing Pilates, we're stretching, we're mobilizing, we're strengthening. We're really focusing on the body as a whole rather than crushing some calories. So it's got the workouts. There's motivational inspiration. There's a weekly podcast in there for the members. So depending, where people are at, what they're struggling with, where are their thoughts going, it's just that extra support. And again, little burst of inspiration and motivation. There's always a monthly masterclass, and again, that is anything and everything well-being. So we've got a whole workshop on stress. There's a whole workshop on hormones. There's a whole workshop on moving well, not more. We've got a workshop on juicing. We've got a workshop on thyroid. Next month, we're talking about EFT. So obviously all your strategies to cope emotionally, but everything in there is for that whole body approach, physically, mentally, emotionally. And the key to it is the support. So you've got your little safe community of like-minded women that are in exactly the same place as you, with those frustrations, cheering each other on, sharing what's worked for them, supporting, and it's just golden. Because a stress response for women, the best stress response for women rather, is to tend and befriend. Like, we're great at looking after people. We need connection with others. And that, so it just brings all those things together. Everything I talk about in the book, it brings it to life a little bit more, in a little bit more real time, with real people who are in exactly the same position. And like I say, it's quick and it's easy to access, so that you're not, I've not got time for this, I've not got time to do a workout, I've not got time to look after myself. It's right there at the touch of a button. So yeah, it's bringing that whole, like I say, all the things I'm passionate about and all the things that women need support with, and stripped right back, so it is just the most important information, and it's all in one place.
That's amazing. And the not falling off the wagon, because I'm being good for a bit, and then you can go, hold on here, I've got this, and everybody can talk. I also fell off the wagon. I've got too much wine at the weekend, and now I'm feeling rubbish still, so it's okay to stumble, right?
It's a constant. I mean, everything is always evolving, and we all need to, even when you know what to do, it doesn't always mean you do it. I think we're probably both guilty of that. And there is that constant reset refocus. But you don't have to lose everything. It can just be a little bit of wobble here and there, but again, you've got that support to keep you, and that motivation to keep you focused, and to bring you back on when you start to go off the track a little bit. And I think the one thing I find that, and again, I'm really guilty of this myself, you do those little strategies and you notice they're working and you feel really good, so you just stop doing them because they're working. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I feel really rubbish again, I'm not sleeping again, I'm not doing that again. But so obviously in the membership you've got that constant reminder, and like I say, that it's just cheering each other on really, and knowing that you are not alone.
The more you learn to listen to your body, the more you catch yourself much quicker. Hold on, I've not been eating very well, and that's why. And you notice it much quicker. And you can just really help each other's crown and really support each other as women. And I think that's very, very important.
Massively.
So what's the future? What have you got planned for us in the future?
It's limitless, isn't it? My big thing is to start these conversations sooner. So, right now, as there's so much focus on the menopause right now, which is amazing. It's been a very taboo subject for a very long time. it's great. There's much more focus, there's much more conversations, there's a lot more support for the menopausal person. However, what if we had that conversation 10 years, 15, 20 years before we needed to have it? And you said it a little while ago, and I did a workshop on Tuesday and we talked about hormones and symptoms, and everyone went, oh, we should have known this 15 years ago. So for me, it's like I want to get these conversations going sooner.
Yes.
I want them to be different. I want them to be different conversations for people to understand how they can support their well-being before there's a problem. You don't have to wait for a symptom to show up to put these things in place. And actually, you do put these things in place, that you won't get symptoms anyway. So, you know, again, we're very good at seeing all the negative connotations of, you know, the menopause is it's vile time, and you're going to get all these symptoms, and you're going to deal with this, and you're going to struggle with that, and it's not. It's the next phase of your life. It's a really exciting chapter, and it doesn't need to be the struggle that we think it is, and it doesn't have to have interventions that, you know, again, we're led to believe that's the only solution. And of course, everyone needs different interventions because everybody is different. There's no one size fits all. But the more responsibility we can take, and the more we can understand, and like I said, the more we can do that whole body approach, and the sooner we can do it, then, you know, for me, it will prevent so much more, whether it's menopausal symptoms, hormonal symptoms, anxiety and depression, you know, deeper illnesses. You know, disease starts in the body. So if we can prevent as much of that disease as we can, or again, get people to listen, and then let's have the conversation much longer as well. So again, we've got this talk around the menopause, but what about the years after? What about the fact that heart disease is the #1 killer in women? Because once you've gone through the menopause, you've lost your cardioprotective hormones. Like, how do we fix that? How do we prevent that? So for me, it's more conversations. It's just sharing and supporting more to put the simple stuff in place. And I guess that is that kind of stay on track type thing. You know, it's definitely, it's never too late, of course, to do these things. But if we can do it sooner, the more we know, the better we do, then the more we can hopefully prevent. And then everyone's happy, healthier, and thriving rather than just surviving.
And it's a way of life, I think. Yeah, definitely. It really is. You know, learning, once you've got a habit, it will stay with you. It's just a habit, and it's that dread coming towards the menopause. This has got to be stopped. This is no longer right information. We have so much that we know these days, physically, but also emotionally. You know, we can have a good menopause and way beyond. Definitely. It doesn't have to be. And again, you know, chemicals have got a lot to answer for. So it's eating clean, putting clean, you know, products on our faces, because our grandmas did. They ate clean food. They, you know, there wasn't as much chemicals in the world, you know, for them. And, you know, they lived long life and healthy post-menopause, you know.
It was a different conversation. I think, you know, again, I sort of said that for me, the biggest cause of hormone disruption is stress and gut health. Well, when your hormones are changed anyway, if you're then adding on all that extra unnecessary imbalance, then it can of course be really traumatic. But if you can, like I say, if you can understand it better, if you can eliminate the chemicals in the environment around you, and like I say, aware of what you're putting on, your skin's your biggest organ, what goes on goes in. So what's going in, what you're cleaning with. You know, room fragrances are one of the biggest hormone disruptors that we're subjected to. So what's in your room fragrances? So it's knowing that as well as what's going on inside, like I say, the emotions and the thoughts and dealing with all that, and doing it much sooner. Because like I say, the menopause focus is phenomenal, and the average age of the menopause is 51. So it's great we're having those conversations, but the perimenopause can last 15 years. So that's your late 30s. So what if we started the conversation at least then, if not before, when, you know, you just starting the juggle of the next 10, 15 years. And, you know, it's knowing, it's sharing, isn't it? That the skincare, the environment, the food, the balance, the stress management strategies, it's just sharing all that. So yeah, like you say, let's go back 50 years and look at what life was like then and how things would manage differently then.
Yeah, very, very much. So thank you so much, Victoria, for being here. Tell us, where can we find you?
So my website is victoriajones.co.uk, and all the details of the book and the membership are on there as well. And then on social media, I'm on Facebook, as Victoria Jones Wellbeing, and on Instagram I'm Victoria Jones_wellbeing.
So thank you so much. I'm going to show you the book again. It's called Reignite. It's brilliant. Get it. It's a brilliant Christmas present if you know any women by any chance. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you for Victoria for coming today. If you like this podcast, I'm going to gather a lot more wonderful people for you. So subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you very soon. So thank you so much, Victoria, and have a fabulous day.
Thanks, Steph, and you too.
Bye. Thank you, everyone,
Bye.
for listening. Thanks.